Hello and welcome to the African Tech Roundup, episode 123. Now, this is where we round up the most important tech, digital, and innovation highlights from across the African continent. My name is Andile Masugu, and it's been a hot minute since Musa Kalinga and I taped a full in-studio episode of the show. And unfortunately, Musa couldn't join me for this particular one. But the good news is we've called upon our regular stand-in co-host, the inimitable founder of TapSnap, Vijay Vijendranath. How's it, bro?
You know it, man. You know it. I mean, I got nothing better to do, so I'm here. I'm here to help him out. You know how it is.
Yes, don't worry. We still love the fact that you are on PC, and clearly you're keeping that side of your personality up. Keep it coming, son.
That's my thing. Yeah. I mean, eventually I will. My next job after this is become a shock jock.
Yeah. I'm sure the world awaits with bated breath. Thanks for agreeing to jump on the mic with me, man.
My pleasure to be here.
In fact, I was about to ask you what you've been up to, but I'll save that for a little segment we like to call What's Trending. That's coming up a little later on. But we have a special guest in the building, a fellow Zimbabwean in the building, a man who grew up in a little town called Gweru, Zimbabwe. I happen to go to high school in Gweru, by the way. Nevertheless, Herbert Banhire is here. Welcome to you, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Andile.
Yes. Now, Herbert is the head of a business division called the Business Diaspora in South Africa at AMA.ZING SA Pty Limited, which is, of course, a subsidiary of the Zing Group. Now, I'm going to ask you a little later on to fill us all in on what that means. But for now, it's word on the street is you're an accountant.
I'm an accountant, yes. Unfortunately.
In recovery?
In recovery, yeah.
In recovery, because your role doesn't have to do with accounting, so don't tune out just yet, y'all. There's a lot of good stuff. Zing, of course, is a fintech company, part of the Zing Group, which is domiciled in Mauritius, but you'll tell us all about that a little later on. Look forward to a great conversation around this a little later on. But before we jump into some massive news highlights and a discussion on the other side of that around this huge, what do we call it? The fintech gold rush, I think is fair to say. Before we jump into that, well, let's play a little game called What's Trending. So, folks, this is how it works. I'm going to give you each, starting with Vijay and then with you, Herbert, and then it'll come right back to myself. I'll give you a topic and I'll ask you to give us an indication of what's trending around that issue in your life right now. Is that clear, folks?
Okay.
Does that sound good to Vijay?
All right, that's good.
I don't have much of a life at the moment, but we'll give it a try.
All right, well, we'll see. I think
that's technically a trend as well.
Okay.
Not having a life, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely. Or having as little a life as possible, a smaller life as possible.
That's actually a good thing. It means that you're concentrating on your business and not having parties and going out there talking nonsense and actually working on your business.
You hear that? Right. You hear that, folks at Zing? This man deserves a raise. He's giving it all up. He's giving it all up to make this work. All will be revealed later on. We'll find out what Zing does and exactly why you're here. But let's play this game first. Let's start with devices. What's trending in terms of devices for you, Vijay?
Well, obviously the upcoming iPhone with a weird name. Apparently, it sounds like it might be called the iPhone XS Max. So they've actually lost it in terms of the naming convention.
But they clearly haven't lost you as a fan.
No, I think even though I'm still using Android, technically speaking, but I'm still an Apple fan because I love the phones. I just waiting for them to bring out the larger size phones. I can't wait to use this one, but I just wish they called it better. It's actually the only name I know that's named worse than the Lamborghini Urus.
That's a pretty bad name. I have to say for a pretty flash car.
For a flash car. What do you drive? I drive Urus.
But what's happening on your side in terms of trending in the device space? Herbert?
I don't know. I think at the moment, like I told you, I'm more like a hermit. I don't know what's happening out there, but I think I will have to go back to what you showed me earlier on the Casio watch. I would like to see what you got.
Oh, snap. Yeah. So you're sort of setting me up for my slam dunk here. My device of choice at the moment is the retro Casio I'm wearing right now. It's the F91W. It's the very first watch I ever had. And My parents bought me one when I was a child, and it's really great that they've started making all the retro versions of Casio watches now, and I definitely caught myself one, loving it. And I think it plays into the trend you're talking about, where minimalist is key. I can't stand the idea of having a smart device on my wrist. It just the thought gives me anxiety.
Well, it seems like it's quite a trend now. It's not just because it's retro. I think people are making a conscious decision to disconnect and have little as possible. I mean, if you look at the regulations going around in Europe and America, they are forcing app makers to actually tell how long you're using the phones on the apps itself. And there's a whole thing going on called #disconnect.
Yeah.
Which is just, use as little as possible and get off social media. It's getting too much because if you're using social media nowadays, as you know, if you're on it, have you ever, when is the last time when is the last time you've seen a normal discussion going on social media that doesn't involve race and religion and swearing and,
Yeah.
It's
Look, I mean, it's sometimes argued that it's really just an extension of what's really happening inside all of us, and for that reason, it might be a good thing that we have these platforms that show us just how much work we have to do as humanity on ourselves. But on the other side, I think there's that discussion about the fact that all these devices and apps are designed to be addictive, and it's no longer a secret. It's not even as though big tech is hiding it anymore. They totally want you as hooked on the stuff they're putting out as you might be to a substance, which I think is part of the pushback at the moment.
I mean, they have departments and courses where they teach you about habit-forming apps. Yeah. So that's what it is. They use professional psychologists to build these apps to actually keep you hooked. Yeah. And what's even worse is how they're hooking kids, because I have children. And they really are hooking them, and I have to be very careful because they're very, very, very clever.
Yeah, and they should call it what it is. That's a nice way you put it. They're teaching us how to program addiction, which is...
Yes, it's programmed addiction.
Anyway, that's a fun by the by, but on to the next what's trending. What's trending in your life, Herbert, as far as music?
As far as music, Eminem.
Eminem? Like his new stuff, like he just dropped...
Kamikaze.
Are you digging that?
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. You take away the swear words.
There's nothing left. Let's be honest. You take away the swear words, like what's left with Eminem? Seriously. No, but then Machine Gun Kelly. I mean, there's obvious. I think that's the big beef at the moment, as far as Eminem's concerned. Like, there's Team Machine Gun Kelly and then there's Team Eminem. And some people saying even though he's not as gifted an MC, I don't know. Right now he's kind of winning on the realness gauge, for some people. But you're still feeling Eminem?
Eminem, I think this is a great comeback. It's a great comeback. Fantastic. It's good. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, and he's back to his lyrical sensibilities and stuff.
He's back.
Yeah,
Shady's back.
Shady's back, apparently.
Yep.
Okay, what's trending in your world in terms of music?
In terms of music, well, I'm not exactly the musician aficionado. I would never be hosting a Grammys. That's for sure. That's for sure, right? But in terms of music, I do know that the way Tidal is working, and in terms of music and how they're actually allowing us to actually have better choice. And I think I'm liking what he's trying to attempt. That's Jay-Z.
Okay,
what he's attempting.
This whole are you into the whole curation aspect? Because I think that's what they like to think they're doing better than, say. And I think it's hard to say for real, because I think all of the platforms like to come to market with the notion of we're great at curating a sonic experience for you, a seamless sonic experience for you, a connected social sonic experience. Right. But Tidal does seem to have this sort of urban edge or urban street cred at the moment.
And I think it's one of the first, I think it's the only proper multi-million-dollar streaming company owned by black companies, or at least a black-owned company.
Yeah, which is fair to say, because again, the role of black folk in advancing music culture globally is huge, and the fact that we don't have that many places we can say we own platforms that purvey the stuff.
Well, I'm surprised there's only just the one. I'm surprised it's taken so long.
I'm surprised they launched in Uganda.
In Uganda?
Yeah. So
Uganda.
I'm surprised they chose Uganda to launch. So a lot of people looking at that, but then I also read analysis on that pointed out how much younger relative to other parts of East Africa Uganda's youth population is. And so again, plays into the strategy Tidal apparently has around targeting youth, but youth, the much younger youth, I guess Generation Z as opposed to borderline Generation Z, millennial, where I think Spotify is a solid sort of millennial play, I think. Give us a shout out and let us know what you're streaming your music via, if you're even on the streaming wagon at the moment, and how you've decided, Tidal over Apple, over Spotify, over Basics Pulse of DRC even. There are a couple of international and local streaming services out there at the moment. What are you choosing to listen to? We want to know. Give us a shout at African Roundup on Twitter and Instagram, or give us a shout via our email address, hello@africantechroundup.com. Okay, so let's just talk what's trending in terms of what you're consuming visually. On your laptop, 3 out of 3 for us, because we all have like Apple MacBooks on our laps. Like, what are you? And by the way, I mentioned that because this is primarily how I consume my visual content. This and my mobile phone. I don't know how you guys watch it. You probably have big screen TVs at home. I don't, but. What are you into right now? What's trending in terms of what are you consuming visually? You're at home a lot. You said you're a hermit. You must be consuming something. Herbert.
I am, yeah. I think besides working, keeping one busy, I think what I saw, which was quite interesting, was I think my boss brought to work. I don't know if you guys know about the Shield, the NVIDIA. It's like your Apple, the TV station where you've got games you can stream. It's called NVIDIA Shield.
Oh, okay. Oh, is it like a TV box?
It's like a TV box
that basically manages all your entertainment needs, that kind of thing?
That is correct.
Okay. That's actually quite a technical discussion if you want to have it. But what NVIDIA is doing is they're bringing graphics as a service to consumers and businesses. Because as you know, one graphics card can be very expensive, but they have like a huge data center.
Yes.
Where just like how you would go on Amazon Web Services, you can actually use graphics as a service if you just need to do some compute time.
Yes.
On graphics work.
Wow, that's smart. So kind of like what Adobe has done with their software suite.
Yes.
For creatives.
Yes, they've actually obviously switched it over to monthly.
Yes.
So it's like a subscription service. So now you can use graphics as a subscription service.
Where the burden used to be on you as a creative to have like this really souped up setup and a physical dongle or something of that nature in order to access Adobe software, for example. Exactly. Sorry, I'm just using things I kind of use.
I think it's the same concept.
Similar concept.
Yeah, because the specs on that. The specs on that device were quite amazing.
Yeah.
I think they bought it for about $250 and it is an amazing device.
And then there's a subscription, I'm sure.
There's a subscription, but there's a lot of free services there. You can stream for free, you can play games for free, and obviously they put a premium on the other products that you want to pay, but there's a lot of free stuff on there.
Okay, so they're really trying to get people on the box, hooked on the box.
Right now, NVIDIA is the largest in terms of doing quite well. Obviously, the other one is AMD.
Yes.
The battle has been between NVIDIA and AMD for a while. NVIDIA is leading the way, but AMD is doing pretty well. It's not bad. It's just NVIDIA is taking the limelight because they've introduced all this graphics as a service, and now it's something new, if you are into graphics, called real-time ray tracing. Now, you must understand that I also understand this because I enjoy.
Oh yes, because you're a photographer, and of course, I
enjoy the gaming and the visual stuff. So you must understand how giddy I am when I hear about real-time ray tracing. You must understand what that is. To give you, it is actually watching one of the Pixar movies. Think about that in real time.
Wow.
Think about that in real time. You're able to actually get reflections in real time. That's like something that wasn't available ever.
Okay, I have to be honest. This sounds really dope. I'm excited for you. I barely know what you're talking about, but I'm clearly excited for you.
I mean, if you're into really gaming and platforms and stuff, when you get real-time reflections.
And NVIDIA is up to this.
Yes, and they've just introduced it in their new graphics card.
Yeah.
I think it's called the XS. I can't remember the name for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's real-time ray tracing is something major. That's something Hollywood had access to. Pixar had access to. But now games can actually do it.
That's nuts. That is absolutely nuts. Look, my personal visual thing right now, it's food on YouTube. I love cooking videos. That's kind of trending in my life at the moment. But yeah, there's also something we were talking about before you came here that got me intrigued. Vijay, about this trend on YouTube apparently around autonomous sensory meridian response, ASMR.
ASMR for short.
Yeah, for short. And this trend around what seems to be a really stressed planet looking for ways to de-stress.
From what I see, it's become the largest growing form of content on YouTube as well.
That is nuts.
And it uses a concept called binaural audio. So where the recordist on the other side uses this weird binaural type audio stereo microphone where they talk it almost sounds like they're talking into your ear.
Yeah.
Right? Whispering almost. And there's also weird things. For example, someone scratching dandruff. You can feel it.
Yeah. You think you can. So the thing is, what they're doing with audio and I suppose to some extent visual, like accompanying visuals on YouTube is... and presumably with a really good quality pair of headphones.
Yes, you need headphones, and then you feel it. Like if someone's cutting their hair, it feels like they're cutting your hair.
Or stroking your hair.
Combing
or whispering
your hair.
into your ear.
Exactly.
Or just comforting you and saying everything's okay.
And people use this to get comfort and fall asleep.
How is that not creepy? People are just struggling to find a way to exhale.
Yes. But I will give you the largest, probably the most profitable, if you're interested. Yeah. The most profitable business that will happen in 5 years' time, if you're interested in doing this, is AMSR pornography.
Oh, my word. We are so not going to discuss that right now.
With
Simply because I have a hard time imagining why you'd be wrong about this, being that we wouldn't have the internet in its current form if it wasn't for pornography. And I hate to say that, and it's really unfortunate. I'm not a proponent for pornography. And yes, I'm pulling a moral card right now. I hope you're wrong, but I have a feeling.
The largest growth in VR was pornography already. So now imagine VR and ASMR together. You got ASMR photography. So you have visual aid with 3D with the sound put together, giving you the most immersive experience. That will be the largest, fastest growing form of ASMR VR technology in 5 years.
Here's to hoping 5 years from now, I'm not sitting here asking a group of people what's trending and that comes up. But hey, so listen, that's been fun, actually. I thought it would be nice to break the ice a little bit with you guys.
Thank you.
Just get into your minds a little bit before we jump into more, into sterner stuff, into more solid foods. I'm running out of metaphors and analogies here. Let's just jump into news highlights. From the last couple of months, there's so much to discuss since we've been last in studio for a full format show. So we're really just going to go with some massive trends that touch on a number of different issues across markets on the continent. Let's start with this trend towards the consulting industry in South Africa, but perhaps in other parts of the continent and the world. The consulting industry is going through a really tough time. I'd call it #agency disrupted, consulting disrupted. They've been taking knock after knock after knock. Whether it's all the consulting firms that have been implicated in the Gupta Gate scandal, or, for example, more recently, Bain being implicated in what's turning out to be this massive, by their own admission, this massive mess at the South African Revenue Service, Deloitte, McKinsey, KPMG, all sorts of scandals. All you need to do is basically Google KPMG South Africa, McKinsey South Africa, Accenture South Africa, any one of these firms, South Africa. Put that into Google and you'll see what we're talking about. And so we won't, unpack what the specifics of their woes, but what's been very curious to me and in some of the offline discussions I'm having with leading corporate executives in South Africa mostly, but also in other parts of the continent, is the pressure they're starting to feel in needing to gear up to provide consulting alongside maybe products, tech services, and things of that nature. What do you guys make of this? How do you think a Dimension Data, a Naspers, a Venture Garden Group, a Convergence Partners at the sort of investment level, how do you think they are needing to sort of adapt in terms of talent, in terms of internal capacity, in terms of systems, to deliver on what is probably going to be a steady demand for consulting services, where before all they needed to deliver on was X?
Well, I can tell you from my experience in working in two companies, large companies, I don't know why they go out buying smaller companies because, they want to get their skill set or market that they've created. And what they do is they integrate it back into the larger corporate firm, and then it goes and dies because it's no longer that nimble startup that it was, right? So my question is, why don't these large companies simply fund these smaller companies, have a stake in it, and let those smaller firms run independently? Let them, go in their own sort of way, do what they need to, and simply form a supporting financial role. And then you get your market share in the process. Yeah. Why are you trying to integrate it into your bigger name, and then all of a sudden becomes too expensive, bloated, and then, of course, another startup takes over, and then they lose out?
Yeah. And I suppose that's also true for thinking about it in the context of there are certain things that large, big tech, whether I think of in South Africa, Adapt IT, that they might not be capacitated to deliver on. But by strategic acquisition, they put themselves in a position to deliver a certain level of insight where a potential client might have gone to a quote-unquote traditional consultancy looking for answers. So I don't know. Is that what you mean?
Well, it's too expensive, right? Yeah. They're too bloated because the margins required to be in a consultancy is just way too high. Of course, they don't want to go with the very tiny, small companies because they're too small to cater for the large requirements that big companies have. So the best compromise between the two is a smaller firm funded by a larger consulting firm that has its own legs to run on, own legal framework. So if I hired Accenture only because it's large, it's fine. Okay, you need it. But sometimes I need to save money. I don't want to hire Accenture. I want to hire a smaller firm that has maybe 50 people in it to do the job. It may be funded by Accenture. Accenture might own a bit of equity in it. Let's go with them, right? Big companies don't want to go with that because they don't have a big name behind them. Yeah. So that's the compromise. I don't know why they don't want to.
I think it's going to be harder and harder to justify going with the usual suspects after the spate of sort of scandals, because it's becoming quite clear that the top dollar corporates have been willing to pay, the likes of Bain and others,
it's gone.
It's clearly not justified.
It's too large, it's too bloated, margins are too high, they're trying to save money.
Yeah. And basically there are smarter ways to do research, there are smarter ways to close insight gaps. And while it kind of feels like an easy one-stop shop to deal with a large sort of incumbent consultancy firm, perhaps companies are going to need to think about doing things differently. What do you think, Herbert?
Well, since we are driving our company as a startup, I think I'll come back to you. I think I'll have answers for you when we've gone through this.
Herbert's hoping we
don't want to step on toes at the moment.
Yeah, he doesn't want to tick off anyone we've listed off right now.
Because they're your clients. Is that disclaimer there?
Yes, they may very well be taking meetings with them. But no, and honestly, Herbert, you can say as little or as much as you want for the different stories we touch on. Feel free to jump in at any point and graciously decline like you just did whenever it's appropriate for you. But let's move on to MTN versus Nigeria. Is this 2.0? I think it's 2.0. At this point, it's because of the size of the amounts we're talking about. It's only MTN versus Nigeria, or Nigeria versus MTN, depending how you look at it, 2.0. All you have to do is run a Google search, or even just head to africantechroundup.com and go check out like past episodes to see us, discuss all the pain and misery MTN has had to endure over the last couple of years, not least because of their fraught operations in Nigeria. And now there seems to be a differential between what MTN has calculated as their sort of tax bill, and what they've undertaken to remit to the Nigerian government, and the Nigerian government going, well, you guys are $2 billion off the mark, and you owe us that money. And of course, it's wreaked havoc on MTN's share price. And what's been interesting is observing the media, the media coverage of this issue in South Africa, and comparing it with what's happening in Nigeria and how this is being spoken about there. And by and large, a lot of people in South Africa feeling Nigeria is taking full advantage of what's at this point a mobile telco on its knees to try and stay in what is Africa's biggest market. And I don't know what you feel about it, VJ.
I wish I knew the inside track of it. I mean, it sounds like mafia, where they say you got to like pay to have access to our markets because you're so large and powerful. Therefore, it could be that MTN did make a folly.
Yeah, I just can't get over MTN's rubbish track record at doing business on the continent in terms of just, when they had the chance to be the sort of bright and shining example of what it means to be a homegrown African multinational. There's just example after example I can think of, which, well documented in the media and otherwise, that suggests to me that this is a company that's for a very long time basically printed money on its own terms. And I mean, perhaps you're right. But I also do see that we're in a season of reckoning, not just for the likes of MTN, but if you look across the world at everyone from Amazon to Twitter to Facebook, anyone big and mighty, Google even, is being held to a much higher standard in terms of what we expect from them as society. And, cookies crumble. And right now, MTN's cookie not looking so happy.
Not so good. And of course, these large incumbent companies, I think a great example is how Netflix sort of really grew fast, so globally and so fast that DSTV became so threatened.
Let's talk about that, because that's an excellent example to pair alongside this, where it's like, how rich is it for Naspers, right? How rich for this mint, all right, for lack of a better term, for this South African sort of incumbent mint, right, that has really done very little up until the last 10 years to do anything other than serve its own interests, right? How rich for them to go to regulators and go, how unfair it is for Netflix not to be regulated in the same way we are. Well, tough bricks. There's a side of me that's like, well, maybe they're right, because on some level, I feel some kind of way about any company that's happily domiciled wherever and puts us in a position where we're not able to hold them to account. But at the same time, for Naspers to want us to feel sad for them, I think is a bit of a stretch. I think they're just going to need to figure out new ways to basically create value for their shareholders.
I think for like nearly 10 years, people have said, please make it available online. Please give us SuperSport only. Yeah. Please, can we just watch SuperSport 2 or 3? Because I just want to watch football. Yeah. They haven't done it, and now these big boys have come with the streaming service, and all of a sudden it's like, why? Going to their granddads and for dads, he broke my toy type of situation. And this is what's going to happen. This is why I always say your competition is not always obvious. Yeah. DSTV's competition wasn't another satellite provider. Yeah. It's a content provider, right? Who is like VW's biggest competition? Yeah. Who is the biggest competition for pizza? Yeah. It's not always another pizza company. Yeah. It's a dieting company.
Just ask the folks at Ford who are, I mean, it's nuts to think that a company like Ford could be facing the kind of existential crisis that Kodak went through. It's nuts, right? To your point.
And that's ironic because Kodak went through it and they're the ones who invented it. Do you know that?
Yeah, the
CCD technology came from them. The internal guys said, we want to go, and the big boys are like, no, our business is to print, and they totally forgot. Yeah. So very often the innovations happen internally and they forget. Yeah. So
Liberty and Discovery.
Yes.
Liberty Life, I think the largest life insurer in South Africa by some metrics. But I mean, Discovery was literally an in-house idea, which got shelved, and now Discovery is what like just
massive,
and
that's becoming that's registered to become a bank, I think.
Yes, the Discovery Bank.
That's
on the cards. That's on the cards.
Yeah. So I suppose back to MTN. A lot of these issues relevant to them because for the longest time they've enjoyed an effective monopoly alongside a number of other people in the mobile telco space. And what did they do with that? And what have they done with that advantage? And now sort of the balance of power has changed in a country like Nigeria, certainly over the last couple of years. Ask Etisalat as well, who have since decided, well, Nigeria too hot for us. We're out of here.
Well, think about the competition. What is MTN's competition? What is Vodacom's competition? if you think about it.
I wonder.
It's actually OTA providers, over-the-air providers.
All right.
The Facebooks, the Googles, the Netflix of the world.
Yeah.
Right.
And amazing.
Yeah, and amazing.
Okay. That was slick. That was slick, Herbert.
And there's something new that's in the work that I think Elon Musk is actually trialing in the United States.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens with that one, where he actually got a license to put satellites around the world, and it would beam Wi-Fi to your phone anywhere in the world. So if that happens, then you've got
the low orbit ones, yeah?
Low orbit. So now you've got a situation where you've got a mobile provider that's anywhere in the world. That's a singular mobile provider that you can just hook up using Wi-Fi. You bypass MTN completely.
So you're basically saying Nigeria is the least of MTN's worries right now?
I think so. Because if they really...
In the long term, at least.
Long term, like you look at it from a decade's perspective, you have a provider where they can access your customers anywhere in the world by having a satellite up there. Only way to counter that is to build rockets, shoot them up, and then shoot the satellites down.
So I once asked a former British Telecoms Africa MD.
Yeah.
At the time, he was British Telecom's Africa, Sub-Saharan African MD at the time, and I asked him what he reckons would be the one thing that could completely disrupt BT's business globally. BT's like completely disrupt, like Kodak style, Nokia style, and he told me content. This is 3 or 4 years ago. He literally told me content. And he made, I don't remember what he argued in that direction, but it didn't land for me at the time. Okay. And it's certainly landing now, and again, this is going to be so much fun to discuss later on when we talk about Amazing, as you so, cleverly threw forward for us, Herbert, because again, part of the trend, you're part of this trend to decentralization and, to some extent, a democratization of these platforms and systems in a way that I think is going to change the way we all transact in the future and seek value.
There's been talks about that. For example, why is it I still need a SIM card for that operator? Why can't it be a phone and I simply log on to Cell C if I wanted to?
Yes.
And if I feel like logging on to MTN, I pay for what I need to on MTN or Vodacom. And then I can use this same service going overseas. The whole idea of roaming is rubbish.
Yeah,
that should not exist.
Yeah.
So the new players are going to come with these low orbit satellites service.
Do you know what you call this? What you just described? What? Engineered friction.
Engineered friction. Yes.
Yeah. So
no. You don't be like Harvard professor. Yeah. Call it what it is. Mafia.
It's mafia.
Mafia.
So here's the thing. There's a part of me that feels like, okay, like you say, we really don't know the ins and outs of the story. All we have to go on is news reports and some of the analysis we've read on the matter. We haven't had any direct links as yet into this MTN matter. The last time, ish hit the fan at MTN, we had some interesting inside scoops on that. But so if you're interested in sort of illuminating us, please give us a shout at African Roundup on Twitter, Instagram. So facebook.com/African Tech Roundup on Facebook. And of course, drop us an email at hello@africantechroundup.com if you have anything to say. Nigeria, how do you feel? What do you feel? Do you want your money? Tell us. What about you, South Africa? Do you feel like MTN is being unfairly taken for a ride? Is this even a South Africa versus Nigeria thing? Is it a Nigeria versus MTN thing? Is it MTN versus everybody? Tell us how you feel.
No, Elon Musk will tell you it's Earth versus Mars.
Someone's rooting for Elon Musk to disrupt the whole thing. So let's move on to Jack Ma and China, kind of in that order. So Jack Ma was here a couple of weeks ago. Who didn't write about him? Pretty much every platform, every major publication covered China's richest man coming to Africa for the second time in as many years or less. Last time he rolled into the continent, he headed to East Africa. He had like a bunch of billionaires in tow, and he was talking the talk. He only lost me when he started talking about leapfrogging technologies. You know how much I hate that leapfrogging notion, Vijay. We talk about it almost every time you're here. But other than that, his rhetoric, man, on point. We ran a little poll on our Twitter page, and we asked people after his free lecture in South Africa, how are you feeling about this? Is he the man, basically? Is it great rhetoric and you'll see, as in you're waiting to see what's going to happen? Or are you just not impressed? Like, whatever. You're not interested. You don't see the value in anything he said and perhaps even suspect his motives. And most of you said, great rhetoric, we'll see, What do you guys make of Jack Ma coming to the continent? What do you think it signals? At AMA.ZING, like top line gear. What's the feeling? Is it affirmation for what do you guys believe over here?
It's affirmation. I think it's affirmation.
In what way, Herbert?
We are starting from a very low base here in Africa, so I think most of the interest in terms of development technology is going to be in Africa. I think if you go to the first world right now, they are right at the top. There's nothing more for them to achieve, and there's so much that we can do in here in Africa. So I think the potential for growth is here in Africa. That's why Jack Ma is coming to Africa.
Yeah. And I mean, you're married to a tech entrepreneur, and both your wife and your wife, Vijay, run sort of, it could be argued, e-commerce. I suppose there's the market, the TapSnap is like a marketplace play, but it's e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
So e-commerce, whether it's youbabyandI.com, which is, give your wife a shout out, man. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm talking about her like she's some entity, like she's a boss.
Yes.
So both of you are in e-commerce, but give her a shout out. What's her name?
Yeah, Shanae Vijendranath, my wife. She has a company called YouBabyandI, which is an overarching company where it's all about content for mums, by mums. But she's actually launched something new called Remittances, which is an analytics AI platform, which is actually helping mums understand what they need based on other mums like them doing similar things. So a mum that's a year ahead of you in terms of the journey will be able to give you feedback and say, this is what I learned, this is what's good, what's not.
Yeah.
So you don't make the same mistakes twice.
So basically this e-commerce thing solidly in the family for you guys. And the reason I bring that up specifically is because Jack Ma unabashedly backing e-commerce growth on the continent. Not surprising given he's the CEO of Alibaba. And so his interest in that regard, very specific. What do you make of his coming to the continent, his rhetoric, and his bullishness on e-commerce on the continent, given all of that, and given the fact that you're in the trenches?
I'll give you good news, bad news, which is very typical of what I see. The good news is he's giving us the confidence. Like if he says, you guys can do it, go for it, that's great. I actually love that because the youth are starting to believe in themselves. They understand that e-commerce, marketplaces, digitization, e-banking, mobile money, what have you, is going to grow really fast in Africa. So that's great. The bad news is it's just like when Bill Gates came here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, he was here more recently. Actually, before like a wedding, and then he was in Nigeria recently. But to your point, Bill Gates.
It tends to be the same rhetoric. Like youth are the future, children are the future, Africa is the future.
Here's our foreign aid. Here's some foreign aid.
Here's some foreign aid, and you can pay us back at 20%. What's it? What do they charge? That's a huge amount of debt, right?
Yeah.
It's just more debt.
Yeah.
So we don't need to worry too much about it in that sense. If we're going to do self-realization in Africa, it's going to have to be homegrown products that uses African money to actually build it and not foreign aid.
Yeah. Because that 10 million he's promising, because his foundation is promising, it's not even money worth mentioning when you consider how big he is and how big Alibaba is.
Yes.
But he's basically promising a couple, several millions a year to sort of stimulate some of the better ideas on the continent. It's not nothing, but in the context of what needs to be done and can be done.
How many businesses can have access to that, and where do they get access to that?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Not quite, yeah.
Yeah, because it's $10 million, and if it's specifically in Kenya and it's for 5 companies, there's only so much you can do, while $10 million was actually just the seed fund in one of the Silicon Valley companies when they had a prototype, So on one hand, great. On the other hand, if he's saying, here's money to help grow African business to solve African problems, great.
Yeah.
But if he's going to say you can use his money and grow globally, no. That's not going to happen.
So let me extend this discussion to, there's no doubt that Jack Ma, whether he positions himself as that, certainly publicly or not, which he really doesn't. He doesn't put himself out there as a soft power play of the Chinese government, which he clearly is on some level, being Chinese, and that's fine. But, subsequent to his visit, there have been massive announcements by the Chinese government about the billions of dollars they're committing to Africa in all shapes and forms, and there've been think pieces galore, and people decrying the sort of neo-colonialization vibes that these monies imply, and basically just going, maybe we should be nestling into the arms of the West as opposed to the East because we can't trust them, or we can't trust anybody, we should trust ourselves. There are all these views. What do you guys make, broadly speaking, of China's apparent enthusiasm for the continent? And are you team let's go or team I'm not sure.
I'm team cautious.
You're team cautious.
If you have given me a choice, I say team go.
Yeah.
I think if you think about it, the future is that this country is going to be huge. Within a decade, I think it'll...
You're talking about South Africa?
Talking about China.
Oh, China's going to be huge.
China's going to be huge.
Okay.
From an investment perspective, I think in a decade it will exceed American investments in Africa by a long shot. I still think, and I even told my wife this, if you're going to make this successful in terms of what we're doing, you need, and the kids as well, we need to learn Chinese as a language. English is a very powerful language because if you learn it, if you know it, you can be successful worldwide. But the next big thing is learn Chinese. I think if you're going to do this properly, embrace it and at least put them on your side. In fact, if I can actually say it in a very crude way, I was watching a documentary. There are many assholes in the world. At least if the asshole is yours, it's okay.
That's so nasty. But so I'm going to push back a little bit on your sort of bullishness, right? Yes. Your heritage leads back to Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Isn't that like a country that literally is the poster child for what happens when you allow China to, I don't know, would you call it overinvest?
They overinvested in a sense. They didn't have enough money to pay back. So a lot of land and strategic ports had to be handed over. So
and of course you're saying this in not in a non-democratic way. They've been muscled. Their economic situation has forced them into perhaps into economic arrangements with the Chinese that perhaps they would have preferred not to engage in. But but they've sort of chosen their bedfellows for the next couple of decades or whatever.
When you understand, in terms of what they're doing, is nothing different. Doesn't take away that it's bad. But it's nothing different to the colonial era of France and Spain and what the United States have also been doing in the past as well. It's just that they've been doing it in a different way, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just that China is doing it through money and finance. They did it through colonialism and racism and power and war. So it's almost like a lesser evil of the two, really, if you think about it.
And let me put it this way as well. There's an argument I've heard that I kind of have to indulge somewhat because it's like you don't want to infantilize Africa and African nations, right? So far in this discussion, we've almost done that in the sense that you'd think listening to this conversation like our countries in Africa have zero agency. Whether we're talking politically or economically, I'd like to think we have some role in shaping what any sort of relationship we have with a foreign investor should or could look like. So what do you reckon, Herbert?
Yeah, I think one can only do as much as we can do. I mean, we are doing our part. We've come up with a solution that we are pushing.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to everyone. You have to do what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't sit back and go. I feel like I feel like that's the answer. That's the pragmatic answer.
Sure.
Those of us who can should, And yes, while there's room for us to sort of debate these things left, right, and center, I understand that the debate often stems from people with self-interest in that direction. So you turn on the TV and you see BBC sort of questioning the role of China in Africa.
Yeah.
You know where that's coming from, what the underlying agenda there might be. When you watch CCTV and it's sort of like China is saving Africa and Africa loves it. You understand where that's coming from. When you see governments sort of pick Trump over, China or China over Trump, you know that there's like very pragmatic reasons, often not so great reasons ultimately for the average citizen. But those of us who understand what's going on and have the power to change it in our own sort of sphere should do it.
Yep. Put it this way, bluntly.
Yeah.
If Chinese investments wanted to invest and you had no money, and you don't have the will or the power internally to build, and they're offering at 1/10 of the cost of what France might do or what Spain or US might do. What are you going to do?
You go with China.
You go with China. Or the second option is Russia, right?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? So you have to invest. You have to put something up because, your citizens are hungry.
And at the same time, you have to look at, say, in Ethiopia, which is, again, an excellent example on the continent of like a before and after China situation, and you can't help but view what's happening in Ethiopia and go, there's still stuff to worry about and be concerned about. But for the most part, like, you can't hate.
Yeah, it looks positive.
Do you know what I mean?
It's positive.
Like, you can't. You kind of have to be pragmatic about it and go.
Is Rwanda the only African country that actually had a turnaround by themselves?
I wouldn't call it by themselves. I mean, they're super friendly with Singapore. I mean, and France still.
Oh, French.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know that there's any country in the world that is an independent turnaround success story. I don't think it's fair to say that. I think it would be an oversimplification. I think that Rwanda does a really good job of projecting that, of going, guys, we have a vision for ourselves. It's shipping, like, join us or leave us alone. And I think as far as signaling that to the world, they've been great. But I know behind the scenes, like, they're doing deals with everyone just the same way.
Well, in terms of Western media, or at least Western liberal media, Rwanda is quite a darling because in terms of gender pay gaps and gender representation, it's actually the best in the world, according to them. It's best.
They've got more women in government than, I think, pretty much almost any country.
Pay gap is the best as well. It's 86%. Only country better is Iceland.
Apparently, yeah. So again, the pragmatism in me is it's give or take, and I think that's what trade represents. I mean, you win some, you lose some. To try and remove the emotion out of these discussions is really hard. Because we're in a post-colonial society. But I think it's possible to sort of look at things on a value perspective, case by case. Yeah. Anyway, shout out, of course, to Mutoni Karasanyi. He's one of our contributing op-ed writers. You should look out for his piece called Tech Entrepreneurs Need More Than Money. It was published in our syndicated op-ed for Business Report. Just type in Tech Entrepreneurs Need More Than Money. Mutoni Karasanyi, shout out to you. Very interesting perspective on, his personal take on, what's praiseworthy about Jack Ma's visit and his rhetoric, and perhaps, what's lacking still. Moving swiftly along to perhaps our last major highlight trend to consider, and it will serve as the springboard for our discussion, segue to our discussion, if you like. This African fintech gold rush is a real thing in the startup space. Like, it's undeniable. We and many other platforms and commentators preempted, the trend towards this direction in the couple of years leading up to this year.
Sure.
This year, we're definitely seeing unprecedented interest and investment in that space. Most recently, Paystack landing $8 million in a round of investment. Yoko in their Series B, $16 million in just the last week or so. Mines, US-based startup, but founded by Nigerians, doing a lot of business already in Nigeria with some big name brands like InterSwitch and Nine Mobile. They've landed $13 million to do something quite interestingly different, which is, in their case, resource incumbents with this sort of basket of products that allows them to be as disruptive as any startup. There's just so many different plays at this. The bottom line is there is definitely a push towards backing fintech startups on the continent or Africa-focused startups based elsewhere.
One of the investors is talking about that. Apparently, that is the only thing that really scales properly in African continent. Is that true? Because apparently that's the reason why there's so much of investment in fintech.
If you're going to use like the most common Silicon Valley definitions of what constitutes a startup within the venture capital scene, I think you're probably right. When you think about also just how strict certain funds are about, sticking to thesis and, chasing 10x potential and things of that nature. And also just the time they have or the time pressure they're under to see results. So in that respect, I can believe that I think that might be true for the most part. But I would also say that it also ticks a lot of boxes around the sort of quote unquote impact narrative, impact investment narrative. That's becoming the next wave of foreign aid to the continent. It ticks so many boxes around, people who want to be able to claim we're doing business and doing good. Financial inclusion is this massive buzzword. And also it's a great way to hide perhaps lackluster growth in terms of the thesis I mentioned earlier. But you can always say, well, at least we're sort of banking people who were formerly unincluded. So we're winning either way situation. And I feel like there are not too many investment spaces that offer that wonderful best of both scenario for investors.
Well, I prefer the sort of NASA theory of growth.
The NASA
theory of growth.
Which is
you're rushing to get to the moon, right? And everything else happens in order to make that happen first. So the technology was being developed, the financial system was getting developed, way to transport things were between people was being developed. All kinds of technology was being developed so that we could reach the moon. That technology gave way to the internet and a lot of technology that we use today, right?
Even in our sneakers.
Yeah. So much of stuff. Memory foam came out of that, right? So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to invest, I just wish we could look at the NASA way of doing it, which is build something that is going to fundamentally allow Africans to dream and look up and rather than just look down. And then as a result of that motivation, everyone that's being unbanked will get banked. The education will get sorted because the demand to get people educated in order to fulfill the demand gets sorted. Things like
as opposed to a gold rush in a specific area. You guys are in the fintech space, like straight up and down. Zing Holdings is a fintech play. You've serviced a number of large incumbents, cabs. Give me some more. Old Mutual?
Old Mutual and Liberty, but we've been in the background, business to business.
Yes. Yeah. And before I actually bring you in, that's the other thing that's worth mentioning, is that for every one of these big announcements, these big Series A's, there are plays like Zing that are quietly doing things in the background.
Yes.
Sometimes get quietly acquired without everyone ever hearing about it.
Sure.
Or absorbed, capacity-wise into incumbents. And I feel sometimes that big announcements like these are distracting for that reason, because I think there's a lot of sort of utility and value that's already in the works. And so in that context, I wonder what you make of this huge interest in fintech, Herbert, that's currently sweeping the continent. Do you think it's well-deserved? Do you think there are people like yourselves that have been hustling, they've been doing it just quietly and not, in the news so much? Yeah. What do you think?
So whichever way you look at it, you look at all the traditional brick and mortar shops that we have at the moment. Everybody is going into the fintech space. We are building apps. Everything is going towards e-commerce. So there's a lot of activity there. There's a lot of potential in that space, and that's where we come in.
Do you see some of the people we've listed here as potential competitors to what you do? Or I suppose they are by default. Because you're servicing clients they'd love to have on their books as well. Like, how do you guys approach this? How do you think about it?
Our model at the moment, we are basically going for at the moment. I think financial inclusion is what we are aiming for. There are people that are not in the system, and those are the people that we want to serve. And I think we have the capacity, and we are small enough. We can serve those people. So I think would definitely be competition for these big entities.
Yeah. And what about the smaller ones? Your Paystacks, your Minds, your Sure Remit, who I think is much more closely aligned with what you guys are doing, and we'll explain that in a moment. How do you think about this? How do you survey when you survey like the startup landscape? What do you make of the field? Is there a sense of collaboration that perhaps we are not seeing? Is it literally like the wild, wild west? What is it like in your world right now?
So I think there's enough in the market. We're not fighting against each other or anything like that. We're starting up, and I believe we are not competitors. We're not collaborating, but there's enough business for everyone at the moment.
Really?
Yeah,
and how many are we talking? It's like 300.
300 active fintech companies in Africa.
This is according to?
This is TechCrunch.
TechCrunch.
Sorry, Disrupt Africa.
Disrupt Africa. Oh yeah, Disrupt Africa did a research survey on that, and I suppose when you consider how large the continent is and how big the addressable market is, I can believe that.
I know for a fact that I would not be in this industry because I just know there's so many players. Even with the funding available, it's definitely a bandwagon, and it's definitely too many players.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more innovations that can be done on top that can drive the unbanked to get banked.
What would you say is an example of that?
For example, what we're doing now is the analogy is we're building as many roads as possible because you want to connect as many people from one another. But there are no cars on the road. There are no cars.
Right.
We just want to build the fanciest, and everyone's like rushing. I can build the best road, cheapest roads, the most cost-effective roads. Whatever.
So you're talking infrastructure now.
Yeah, the analogy of the fintech system. I'm saying, let's get people to build a car, a supercar that all Africans can use. But the fact that you're building the car, you're getting education systems in place that teaches people how to build the car. Then you're getting engineering knowledge and how to actually build and deploy and manage it. Then you're getting businesses being run who can sell the car, maintain the car. Next thing you know, you've got fintech systems in place coming up to maintain and manage so that people can sell the car, right? And maintain the car. And obviously help people drive the car, manage it, whatever it is.
And who do you think, in your analogy, should be acting on that? Are you talking at the sort of country level? Are you talking incumbents? Do you think private equity or VC money should be pouring into that? Or
I think VC money should have more faith in having something high level where fintech is only a underlying infrastructure. Like, don't invest the engine. Engine is the fintech system here. Invest in the car. So, or not even the roads even, because that would be the interpayment system analogy, right? Mm-hmm. Invest in the car. So in this case, VCs should put money on top of where fintech is necessary, where fintech becomes useful.
Okay, so in the context of certain, fintech plays, which might be in the sort of infrastructure play where they're enabling payments, for example, yes. You're saying maybe back regulation technology, for example.
On top of it, that requires, for example, the e-commerce, the marketplaces, even the brick and mortar shops, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Digitization of where goods are necessary to transfer from A to B, and the fintech comes in place that facilitates the payments, not the payments itself.
Because I suppose you're right in the sense that everyone's kind of playing for everyone is kind of banking on the fact that consumer behavior is going to catch up, and they want to be ready with the infrastructure and be positioned to service what's going to come online. You're saying invest.
I'm saying take a leap of faith, have a little more faith in the African sort of ecosystem, go on top. One more step. You don't have to go full on Apple. Like, let's build a brand new iPhone. No, just one more step, right? Enable that to happen, which will actually enable the fintech.
So now I think that's a great segue for you to tell us what Zing does, because it sounds to me, I think of what you guys do right there with, the platform play that I know the Venture Garden Group is trying to exercise in Nigeria, and certainly with some of their investees like Sure Remit and what they've done. Tell us about Zing, and particularly your portfolio within the company.
So the problem that we want to solve at the moment is that it's expensive to remit cash. Africa, I think, on average throughout the whole world, we are sitting at around 16%, and we're just bringing in some bit of innovation in how people can perform remittances.
Based in Mauritius, who owns you guys?
We're domiciled in
Mauritius. Where do you operate from?
We operate from Stellenbosch.
From Stellenbosch.
Yes.
Who owns Zing, the Zing Group? How are you guys financed?
We are the main shareholder is South African, so he's based in Stellenbosch himself.
Okay.
And we are domiciled in Mauritius because it's from a regulatory perspective and from efficiency perspective, it's easier to operate from there.
Fair enough.
So that's why we are domiciled there. But what we are doing currently, because the product that we have, Diaspora SA, is basically an entity in South Africa, which is a subsidiary of Zing.
Also, you don't even have to explain that to most of our listeners will understand. Yes. And also Mauritius, we totally love you guys. You guys are Africa. It's all good. So great. We know that it's a great place to be based if you want to sort of internationalize an operation and basically benefit from regulatory. To basically leverage regulatory benefits. And so great, especially if you're a fintech.
Of course.
So you guys are fintech, you have an existing book of business. You've named some of them, or we've named some of them, Liberty, Old Mutual, Cabs in Zimbabwe. And presumably in doing business for these entities, you guys have learned a thing or two about gaps in the market.
Yes.
For people who are not in that system. What are you solving for? What have you discovered?
So because now remember we were developing apps for these businesses and we are not doing that anymore. So we are actually the development house is sitting in our company now. So we've got a full development team in our company.
And now you're going B2C, where before you were
B2B.
Yeah.
That is correct. And we already have infrastructure in Zimbabwe and we have infrastructure as well in Malawi, but the pilot project at the moment is Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we've talked about this on the show, huge pet peeve for us, the ridiculous amount of money it costs any African to transact cross-border.
Yes.
We're world beating, right? In terms of like remittance fees and so you guys have figured out a way to get someone like me sitting here in Johannesburg to be able to buy my mom and dad electricity, buy them airtime, and send them money without parting with anything for the privilege.
Okay, well, what?
How does that work?
All right, you're not exactly. We're not sending money.
Yes,
we have a digital coin exchange, which is based in Mauritius. So what we do in South Africa, we are simply selling those coins on behalf of the Mauritius company.
So it's almost like little vouchers. So you allow me to buy a little voucher that runs through your Mauritius company that allows me to purchase something
in Zimbabwe.
In Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And you guys are basically an intermediary that permits the whole thing. So it's an ecosystem.
You said it perfectly. It's like a vouchering system.
Okay.
So our coins, they're not, we always say, it's not cryptocurrency. There's nothing speculative about our coins. So you buy a coin, each coin is worth 1 cent.
Although if you had bought a bunch of your coin, given what the rand is doing now, and just held on to it and didn't buy anything, and just held on to it.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to get you to encourage speculation, but technically, if that's all we had done, right, Vijay, you and I would have just bought those coins. It would have been a smart way to, I don't know, to keep, to hang on to value while the rest of, while the rand is tanking.
That's correct. That's an upside to buying Zing coins.
Okay.
That's an upside.
Although that's not the business though.
People are not buying Zing coins because they are speculating. People are buying Zing coins. They've got a need to pay for bills and they've got a need to purchase products in Zimbabwe. That's why you buy the coins.
Okay.
That's the primary motive of buying the coins.
Right. So we were talking before the interview started about you did an interview with the Chronicle, my hometown newspaper, the Bulawayo Chronicle.
That's correct.
Shout out to you guys. That's what we call Bulawayo. Anyway, so you guys did an interesting thing which helps explain to people how this works.
Yes.
So tell us what you did with one of the Chronicle's reporters.
All right. That's so this is our press release launch, and we were able to get hold of the editor of the Chronicles, and we just wanted to show him how the app works. And just to briefly how the app works, you download the app, which is free. You download the app. Once you download the app,
And it's only available for Android right now, right?
for Android at the moment, we're going
And it's
to
called,
launch.
what's the app called?
It's called AMA.ZING.
Amazing with the dots.
Amazing with the
between
dots.
AMA and Zing.
Let's put a pause in there.
AMA.ZING. 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 Okay.
That is correct. That is correct. So you download the app, and of course you download the app for free. And once you download the app, it's either you are a free member or you are a paid member where you pay $5 for a year. And what we do as well there, in line with our aim to for financial inclusion, you will basically gift you with insurance there in the app as well. So once you go in, you download the app, you go into the coins, you buy the coins, and once you buy the coins, you basically can pay for the coins at Pick and Pay. You can pay for the coins at Pep. You can
in South Africa.
And
which is essentially your live beta.
Yeah.
So your live beta, your first sort of test market is South Africa.
It's South Africa.
So if you're a Zimbabwean listening to this in Russia or whatever, don't bother. It's not live there. Just yet.
In South Africa, so all we need is your mobile number and we need your name.
Okay.
All right. And once you have that, you purchase the coins. And like I said, we will be out in about 100,000 network shops. Will be live in the next couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But you can also...
We're in Zimbabwe.
Right here in South Africa for you to purchase coins.
On the Zimbabwean side, like what can I buy with these coins? Like what's currently available?
At the moment, you can buy electricity from ZESA, and you can also purchase airtime. And we have another feature that we call Pay Anyone. So anyone who's got a bank account in Zimbabwe, you can basically pay them.
All right.
So you use the coins.
Right.
So you buy the coins and you purchase them instantly. They're in your account. And what you do, you say you want to pay someone who's got an account at CBZ or who's got an account at NMB. You choose them on the system and you pay them, and that's it.
And what's the transaction fee for me? Someone sending money or paying for something in Zim?
All right. The transaction fee that we have at the moment, because we always say, on the platform, once you've bought the coins on the platform, you want to send coins to somebody, or you want to purchase airtime, or you want to purchase electricity, there are no transaction fees in the platform. Mm-hmm. The only transaction fees come in whereby, for instance, we have to use someone's infrastructure.
Okay, so you're paying whoever, a service provider in Zimbabwe who manages payments infrastructure for ZESA, for example.
Yes, that's correct. So that's the.
So how are you making money? How do you make money if I'm not paying anything to you? You're literally saying, come buy coin with us, use our service, we'll give you free insurance, pay for stuff that you had to pay quite a lot. I don't know if there's any way you can pay ZESA directly from here. Okay. ZESA is the electricity company.
Yes.
And I certainly pay a lot of money to transfer money to my parents.
That's good.
You're saying none of that. I only pay what you guys are charged in Zimbabwe if I were transferring
the transaction fees. Yes, of course. Like we said, we have access to a network of more than 100,000 shops.
So are they paying you? Are they incentivized to join your network because you're bringing business to them?
What the networks on the other side will do, because they are basically accepting our coins. So when they accept our coins, they sell back the coins to our exchange. And when they sell the coins back to our exchange, then that's where our margin is. So the cost is not sitting with the consumer. We actually, when you buy
So your
coins,
partners are financing this whole thing. So you found a way to put the burden for this whole infrastructure on the suppliers who have a vested interest in growing traffic to their...
That's exactly what we're doing. And what we further on do, I'll add something on top about electricity for Prosper in the morning. And when you do that, if you're a gold member...
So Prosper is the editor at the Chronicle.
Yeah.
So what did you do? So you said, let us show you how this works. And then he said, okay, I've downloaded the app. And you guys, what did you do?
What we do, because in Zimbabwe at the moment our app is not live there. So the app that we have is the app that I have here. So all I needed to do with Prosper, I say to Prosper, may you please give me your cell phone number? He gives me his cell phone number. I go into the app. I say I want to buy airtime. I go into my contacts list. I grab Prosper and I say I want to send airtime, and it goes to Zimbabwe in real time. He gets the airtime right there and then. And what we do as well, if you're transacting on the app, and I mentioned that you've got a free member and you've got a gold member. If you're a gold member and you're purchasing those qualifying transactions, you actually get Zing coins back. So we give you a discount. Where the companies, they will charge you to send it, and they'll charge you as well. You pay the full amount. We are actually giving you coins. We gift you with coins. And what we further do in terms of insurance, I was talking about insurance. So we insure you as well. Every time you spend $50 on the app, we gift you with insurance for $200 for the next month. And you can assure a life in Zimbabwe. In the unfortunate event that they pass away, then a beneficiary will be paid out. So you don't have funeral expenses, or you will have funeral expenses, but at least you've got something.
Who's underwriting that? So who's your partner for the insurance?
Well, we are basically one of our shareholders is the second biggest reinsurance company in the world.
Munich?
Munich is the biggest. Swiss Re is the second biggest.
Okay.
They are our shareholders, and they are supporting us throughout this whole process.
Dang.
This reminds me, what is that money that's always used to send money to scammers?
To who?
To all the scammers in the world.
Oh, scammers. Scammers.
You know, when scammers say, "Hey, I'm your uncle from
Oh, yes.
uncle from another mother. I have money to you."
Yes.
What is that system that they always ask you to put in?
I don't know. What is it?
That money something gram, or that transfer system?
Oh. So MoneyGram. There's MoneyGram. There's what's the yellow people?
Western Union.
Western Union.
Western
You are a
Union.
threat to Western Union, because if you can sort this out, I hope. And
I love how we came to this point. Sure. I love where the brand's positioned in your mind. It's like,
that's how it's perceived. Because right now, that's all it's useful for. Because
we're paying
real money, because they're so expensive anyway. So so scammers have no problem with that. So I'm saying, if you can bring this out,
yes,
you have my support
Oh, my
and my
word,
prayers.
right?
If those guys go bankrupt and shut down.
We are going to disrupt the market. I think you're right in terms of remittances. And I think this is the small solution that I've showed you guys that, we're going into Zimbabwe. That's our pilot project. But for the infrastructure, Malawi is next. And we are actually building, because now, like I told you, in Mauritius, this means that we have access, we can actually scale up easily, and we can take the same model in someone in the UK now. So in the diaspora, in the UK, you can actually use the same platform, just different channels. Because at the moment, in the app, if you want to go in the app, you enter your South African number, it gives you features for Zimbabwe. If you enter your Zimbabwean numbers, it gives you features for Zimbabwe.
So I want to ask you about, like the regulatory nightmare. This sounds like it could potentially be, and I hope I'm not jinxing you guys.
Of course.
But I'm just thinking, to the point Vijay made, there are a lot of people who obviously have a vested interest in something like this being dubbed illegal, a threat to the economic stability of the financial system, yada, yada, yada. And I mean, the genuine concerns that even someone like me has, like, how can I trust you? Well, you've partly answered that question because I happen to think Swiss Re is a pretty reliable entity. And if they're a shareholder in your business, well, okay, that changes things slightly for me in terms of, I feel that that's definitely a bankable partner to have in the mix.
Of course.
But at the same time, there are genuine questions of trust. What happens if you guys suddenly disappear? You disappear from the App Store. I've got $300 in my wallet of Zing coin. What is it called?
Amazing coin.
Amazing coin. And yes, while it's been great, and it got me to the point where I've even moved all my company's remittances and payments onto there, and then all of a sudden you guys disappear. That'd be great, right?
That'd be great.
So then you guys disappear. How do I answer for that? And I think that's what your competitors will tell regulators and say, how can we trust these people? They're not regulated as financial services providers like we are. You know where to find us. We're listed entities. We're regulated by law. These guys are domiciled offshore. This is a massive risk.
Yes,
how do you sort of strategize around that? You understand my question?
No. That's, trust is a big issue. I started socializing the app yesterday and getting in touch with people that even know me. And I say to them, guys, this is the way to go. We're using a concept that we call promo code, where if you're in the app, you've downloaded the app, you can actually go into the end button, send a promo code. And if that person signs up, they get linked to you. And on their earnings, you're going to earn for life. So they are linked to you for life.
Oh my word.
So you are going to earn using that button. So I attempted to use that functionality yesterday. I sent my promo app, and I think the biggest question that I got from a lot of people that know me was that, have you ever used this service? Can they be trusted? I mean, I think that's
and you work for them.
That's the biggest thing at the moment, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Zimbabwe. I know how many people have lost money in banks.
Yeah.
You put money in a bank and it gets
Never
lost.
mind crypto, banks,
Yes,
proper
yes.
banks.
So we are not going to win over people's trust overnight. I can understand when people say, we're not going to try your service because you might run away with our money. But
And
we
it's the
have to
same,
work on
frankly,
that.
with the Sure Remit guys. They still have the same trust issues to overcome that you have.
There's nothing one can do about it, because trust has to be built over some time. The biggest bank in the world, no one wanted to invest with them on the first day.
Yeah.
So we just hope that, I've told you our we've got a support from Swiss Re. Everybody
Yeah.
knows who Swiss Re is, and
Yeah.
if Swiss Re are endorsing our products, they're supporting us.
Yeah.
Then,
I think you need to take that to market, to be honest. If I'm, again, why am I giving him stuff for free? Invite me to your strategy room. I'll consult. But no, on the real though, let's, perhaps in rounding up, the regulatory issue you haven't touched on.
Yes.
Are you guys registered as a financial services company? Do you need to be?
Mm-hmm.
What's the implication of that? And because I see that as one of the greatest weaknesses in making your case to, say, a regulator or a lawmaker who decides to fight on behalf of the Western Unions of this world, who will argue, we've been here all this time and this is dangerous stuff.
Of course. I think what we did when the concept was conceived, obviously we are dealing with Payit, which is the biggest. They're quite a big player. I mean, they are linked to about 100,000 shops, Pick and Pay, PEP, and they will not touch us if what we are doing is illegal. So we gave them the concept. They took it to their legal team and they said it's fine. We just recently opened up our Forex account, and we also had to go through the same system. We had to explain how everything is going to work, and our Forex account has been opened. And I think what's happening at the moment.
So you are saying you've been vetted by key sort of financial industry players
that we are dealing with,
and
exactly,
partners. Okay.
exactly. And what we are doing, let's say for example, you decide now to go down the road to go to Pick and Pay, and you want to buy a loaf of bread. They don't ask you for your ID, do they?
No,
they don't. So that is the same concept. You can literally go on the internet, buy something from Amazon, buy something from any shop, and they don't ask you for your ID. We are using the same concept. You are buying coins on our platform. Then what you are doing, you are simply saying, I'm going to offset an expense that I have in Zimbabwe, because we've pre-funded our accounts in Zimbabwe. You say, I want to pay for electricity, and you pay for electricity, which is very simple, because you bought a coin, you bought a digital, it's a representation of value that you bought. You bought a representation of value, so you are not remitting money in any way. You bought a product.
VJ and I just looking at each other.
And you use the product. You use the product to offset against bills. You pay for products in Zimbabwe, and that's basically what we are doing.
Oh,
and believe you me, we've done enough due diligence to say, are we on the right side of the law? And we've received information. The feedback that we've got is that we are fine.
Yeah, and I suppose I can also see now with the renewed sort of economic hopefulness in Zimbabwe with the new government and so on and so forth. I'm having a hard time making an argument for the fact that you guys aren't stimulating the economy in the sense that the money's flowing straight where they want it to flow, right? It's not as though, in a cheaper way, because it's not. It's almost even a solve for the crypto problem,
of course,
which is again in their minds an illegitimate flow of value, which doesn't actually stimulate the mainstream economy.
Of course,
with you guys, that oh my word, I have to say, brilliant. Who's your founder in Stellenbosch? Are you allowed to say?
That will be Jason Petho.
Okay, Jason Petho and co. Y'all are onto something. I think it's fair
next
to say.
time in your app, right, on your Africa Tech Roundup, you need to actually put something in so that every time you have a reaction to someone saying it, we can see it when we listen to the podcast.
Oh, because you're looking at my face, right?
You look at me, so some shocking thing is said, and you're like, what? We need to put that sort of reaction
Yeah,
in the podcast.
we need to start YouTubing the podcast. Because, as he was speaking, man, I mean, I thought I understood the product, but then you unpacked it a little more and its brilliance kind of shone through. I mean, this is a serious pain point for me personally as a Zimbabwean citizen living, a permanent resident living in South Africa.
Sure.
Much of my family still lives in Zimbabwe, and we're constantly, making remittances, and we're paying far too much,
of course,
for the privilege of sending our own money,
of course,
yes,
of course,
to our home country.
And
like it's
going
ridiculous.
via Brussels and then back to Zimbabwe, right?
What? Tell me. I mean,
I'll jump in, guys, and just put things in perspective. They say in the global market, if we reduce the amount of remittances by 5 basis points, that will basically mean a saving of 16 billion in the world, and that money can be used for consumption, for savings. It can go back in the economies.
But I'm actually quite flabbergasted. Why is it still that I can't send money for next to nothing to Uganda or Egypt or why?
Engineered friction. I said it to you.
But it's coming. It sounds like it's not engineered friction within Africa. It looks like it's been friction that's coming from externally.
I mean, when you consider France's control over the sort of the with the Francophone region, and I mean post-colonial issues, and I mean it's a massive post-colonial economics debate.
Yes, it has an argument in South Africa. Like we would find the best diamond in South Africa, it would go to Brussels to get priced, and then get sold.
Yeah, and it still makes sense to us on some level. It's like, and then it ends up on our wives' rings.
At a very high price because it has to go through the euro pricing.
Yeah, it's not even polished here.
It's not even polished.
We can't even polish it here. We're not good enough to polish it.
We led into this discussion, talking about the fintech gold rush. There's certain things that make us really excited. And generally speaking, it's things that connect so well with like pain points on the ground, in the grassroots, and that's not to say all the other fintech stuff that's happening doesn't, speak to that or isn't relevant because it doesn't speak to like a pain point Andile is feeling or the average sort of Zimbabwean is feeling. But, kudos to you guys for thinking, for clearly in your product development. It almost feels like you had the Zimbabwean, like a picture of like a Zimbabwean, adult in the office, and you went, what can we do for them?
Of course.
And I feel like we not only are the best products created as a result by doing that, but also those are the ones we tend to like the most. And then my challenge to you is the next time we have you on the show or someone from Zing on the show,
of course,
please don't be like all these other startups who only want to come out here to talk to us when they've got these big numbers to share with the world and stuff like that when they're landing investment. The ecosystem needs to start to understand on a value basis what gains are being made here. Right? In terms of, is it profitable? What's your customer acquisition cost? What's your burn rate? Give us a sense of what it's costing you to basically go on this mission of financial inclusion, quote unquote. Don't expect us to get excited just because you landed $13,000 or $13 million or whatever. That's just part of it. Tell us your bottom line. Show us what the customer lifetime value is. We want to empower the next wave of innovators to make smart decisions about whether or not they should spend the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years of their lives innovating in this space. And this has to be influenced by far more than just foreign money or even local money that's willing to play around in this space, because of where things may or may not go. We want real facts, and this ecosystem is starving for that kind of information. So if you take anything back to your team, that's what we're hungry for. We want, yes, you could come back and say, well, 20% of all remittances are now facilitated by us, but that could be a single transaction by a large corporate. That doesn't tell us anything about the impact you're having on the ground and in the mainstream. And I'm just using this as an example, and I don't want to go on, but that's my burden right now with the gold rush around fintech. I feel like there's a lot to be excited about for good reason, but I think, can we just all man and woman up and come to the mic? This platform's open to you guys. It's yours. It's an ecosystem platform. Come to us and share with the rest of the world how, in value terms, you guys are changing the world.
Definitely.
And celebrate homegrown, bootstrapped companies that are making profit.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just, I raised all this money and now I got a picture with the Dalai Lama. No.
Yeah.
You know? You bootstrapped it in the background, silently making money.
Yeah.
And the customers at the end of the day are the happy ones.
Because there's also something to be said for the fact that we've never heard of Zing until now. But it's clearly a going concern. To all of you guys booking innovation tours to the Cape and other places, to all the little hubs, and you want to go see you probably won't find what's the best stuff out there, right? Herbert is smiling because he knows what's up. It's true here in Joburg as well.
Sure.
Do you work out of a hub?
No,
VJ?
I work from home.
Oh, so there's an example. And you and your wife together run pretty successful startups. Surprise, surprise, you're not going to find them at the local innovation hub, And I'm not knocking those hubs. All I'm saying is we want to acknowledge and celebrate that innovation doesn't always look and feel the way it's being promoted elsewhere. And it's not in the places that you necessarily expect to find it. And probably a good place to put it down right now. Do you guys have any final thoughts to share before I thank you for being here? What do you reckon, Vijay?
Oh, first of all, amazing company, no pun intended. Okay. Right?
Yeah, that was a gift.
That
was a gift.
That was a gift.
Yeah.
I'm a professional dad jokes guy. So so good luck with everything. And I would definitely like to see this being used for remittance for companies to work together, not just transferring money from one person to another, but a company doing business to another company across borders. That'll be great. That'll actually be the next big thing.
You should save these things for when they pay for our time.
Exactly.
This man's typing away. Your ideas are going to end up on a whiteboard in Stellenbosch.
Exactly.
No, I'm messing with you.
Cool, man. And the other thing is, please carry on. Let us know more about what's going on.
You kind of flinched when I said the innovation hub thing because it was like
the hub thing. Oh yeah, okay.
Because I was like, he doesn't work in a hub, but
I don't work in a hub.
But you and your wife both have been part of
I've been part
accelerator programs.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of learning that I picked up, especially understanding how the startup industry works. I really appreciate doing that. The problem with accelerator programs and incubator programs is that it's subsidizing failure.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Accelerator, incubator programs is like the idols of the music industry.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
How idols work. Do you know of any famous
The TV show, the musical TV show.
Yes. You know of any famous idol singer that's making it big? But those bootstrap singers who come out of nowhere,
they're doing well.
Absolutely.
That Justin Bieber boy, he just keeps going.
Exactly.
No, I mean, for real.
From everywhere. They're not coming out of idols. So idols is like the incubator thing. You're incubating people who think they're good at it and they're subsidizing failure, and when they go in the real world, they don't actually, the only gigs they get is at malls, right?
Yeah.
They go sing at birthday parties.
That's correct.
But the big singers who are actually like Beyonce's of the world, right, are bootstrapped.
And I think part of, the sort of incubation culture that we're grooming right now, the innovation hub culture we're grooming, is to sort of discount operators in that space, And that's why I think it's been really formative, really informative and really instructional to have people like you guys on again, we can't vouch for how well you're doing, how profitable your business is. And that's why I challenged you earlier.
Of course.
Where it's like right now we're excited and we're really glad. And we know you wouldn't be in a position to do what you're doing if you weren't truly the business. We also understand that that's oversimplification. You guys are based in Stellenbosch. We know that comes with certain privilege. Look.
Unfortunately.
It is what it is. I'm a pragmatist at this point. My point is, it's easy to oversimplify in any direction, but it's also true to say, like, we need to get over expecting success to look and feel a certain way, and be in certain places. And VJ is an example of that. You've used these systems to your credit to extract the best of what they can give you, and not fallen into the tendency to basically build your entire business or sense of entrepreneurship around them and what they can provide you. And I think that's what you and your wife have demonstrated to me in just observing you guys in real time, offline and stuff. So
that's great.
That said, I must thank you both for being on the show. Thanks for those last words, Vijay Vijendranath of TapSnap, and of course our guest here today, Herbert Banhire of Zing South Africa Pty Limited. Shout out to you, Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much.
Shout out to you, Gweru. Our skies, we see you, fam. Harare, we feel you too. All right, no, for real. If you're in South Africa and you want to try out that app, AMA.ZING, AMA.ZING in your Android app. They promise it'll come out on iOS soon enough. Check it out. Let us know what you think of. Try it. And of course, if you like it, give us a shout. You know where to find us, fam. On Twitter, we're at African Roundup. We're also at African Roundup on Instagram. Hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/African Tech Roundup. Or drop us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Even send us a voice note via email. hello@africantechroundup.com. Tell us what you think of this platform. Have a look at them. What's your website for people who obviously can't use the services yet but want to check you guys out? Herbert?
Let me just go to AMA.ZING.
So that's
world.
So amazing.world. So that's
right.
AMAZING. So AMAZING.
Don't forget the dot.
So AMA.ZING or AMA.ZING.world.
That's correct.
So if you guys want to learn more about this company and just get a load of what they're up to, the audacity of what they're up to, go check them out. And again, once you check them out and you have a view you want to share with the rest of the community, give us a shout. Give us the Lolo. Tell us what you really think. And I thank you both. Thank you, listeners, for listening. Shout out to you, Airbnb, their content partner, for a series we're doing on inclusive travel and tourism right here on the continent. We are very grateful to them for resourcing our editorial coverage of that topic, and we look forward to an awesome 6-part series that we'll be putting out in that space. Look out for that. And otherwise, that's it for now. Thank you so much. How do I remember that? Oh yeah,
I'll help you out.
Yes.
If you tap
what?
If you tap, they will snap.
What I meant to say, folks, is that's all for now. Take it easy, Africa. Ciao.